Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. And, I need not tell you, but California, a state that I love. I spent many a summer out there as a kid, but California has nevertheless been rapidly declining ever since Gavin Newsom took over back in 2019. But his latest move may be the real disaster. The New York Post is reporting that the government in California is now teaming up with Google in a $250 million deal to fund cash-starved newsrooms that are basically going the way of the dodo bird, right? And California's government is enlisting big tech to come in and rescue the dying legacy media. But this new partnership actually goes way beyond the fact that the legacy media is clearly and slowly dying. It actually means that big tech is now going to control the media on an even more stifling level than they already do. Now, as you know, true, honest, professional journalism is incredibly hard to come by these days. They major in narrative, not so much news. But if Newsom has his way, it will to a large extent cease to even exist. To help us unpack this and make some sense here, I'm joined again by my good friend and sponsor, Pedro Adeo. Pedro is a leading expert of kingdom entrepreneurship and challenge marketing, and he's going to share his insights with you for absolutely free on September 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Just scan the code on the screen or click on that link below to get registered before spots are gone. He's very popular. Do not wait. Pedro, great to see you again, my friend. Thanks for coming on today.
Oh, happy to be here. This is a topic near and dear to my heart. This is my backyard. I grew up in the Bay Area, so I'll have lots to get into this. And this is a big story. So I'm glad you're covering it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so I mean, you're a Californian. My mother's side of the family, all of them still reside in the Bay Area. So California's family to me. But this new partnership, between Silicon Valley billionaires and Sacramento bureaucrats, it seems pretty ominous to me, particularly as a Californian, but also as a businessman, as an entrepreneur. I mean, what's your vantage point to this? I'm curious, particularly on what you see as the implications for independent journalism, particularly in a state already known for its progressive policies.
Yeah. So I tend to kind of look at things like this with a couple different lenses. First, I'm always looking through the lens of the kingdom, which I'm looking for truth and righteousness, and looking through that lens, that's never failed me. I always get to the heart of the matter when I'm looking through the lens of looking kingdom values, kingdom principles, and so there's definitely a lot of that. But then also, as a practical entrepreneur and just a business person, then I just look at the follow the money trail, and that whatever I didn't pick up with the other lens, I'm surely get all when you look at the money.
Follow the money is a very good principle to get to follow. Yes,
it almost never fails, to be honest. And so you follow the money here, and first of all, like I learned that taxpayers are paying part of this, which explained to me I pay tax in California. Like, I don't want this. I don't want to subsidize some failing dinosaur, newsrooms, right? Right. Clearly, the market is speaking. People are consuming news on other platforms. This traditional media is dying, and I'm a free market person for the most part. I think there is, with exception, there's probably a wisdom at times to support certain industries. So I'm not saying that we should never do that, but for the most part, I'm a free market guy. Clearly, the world has changed. People are not getting news from free news networks. And here we have intervention to stop market forces that are clearly saying this is old and dead. And now we got taxpayers paying for it. And who's else paying for it? We got Google paying for it, and you look at why, and you find out that basically there was a lot of legislation that was coming down the pipe that would have made Google accountable to pay some big money to these other to be fair, you got these news outlets paying for, people to go find stories, write articles, and then Google gets to just scrape all that, sell the attention that it brings and then keep all the money. Like, that's not right either, right? Literally, that's like they have no costs, but they keep all the revenue. So that's not right. So there's this stuff that was coming down the pipe, and it was going to be very expensive. And so Google gets to do this deal where they get to settle for pennies on the dollar, enrich the government. Government gets powered. And if you read the story that I saw on TechCrunch, you find out who gets to administer the whole program? The UC Berkeley journalism department. And you know this, Steve, like there's liberals, there's the left, there's the extreme left, and then there's UC Berkeley, which is
Berserkly, as they've been referred to. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even know what to call that without being very disparaging, so I'll resist.
You later.
But
But I like how you trace that out. Basically, Google was going to be forced to have to pony up money for being able to use all these news outlets' stories splashed all over their search engines and so forth. And instead of doing that, they just basically merged with the newsrooms now. But I love how you're saying it, as overseen now by the journalism school at Berkeley or what have you. I mean, yeah, it looks like it's a real circus there. What do you think Google's ethical responsibility to the public is in all of this now that they're going to be reporting on news that they've actually in effect purchased?
I don't want to come off as too cynical here, but like I don't think Google gives a damn about ethical. That's not the game that they're playing. I mean,
Right.
they're obviously a monopoly. That's inarguable. And the fact is, this allowed them to save a ton of money compared to the alternative. And and then you've got and all this, if you get Newsom's quote from the article I saw, it's like this is what politicians do. Like Newsom comes out and says, "What a great victory for journalism." These people could care less about journalism. If by journalism you mean propaganda, if you mean journalism, aka propaganda, that makes us look like amazing people and we can censor people that we don't agree with, then sure, that's a win for journalism. But we all know that's not journalism. That's not what's going to happen. This is not going to lead to more free speech and more stories. We're just enriching the propaganda machine that's going to be very probably one-sided. And we got taxpayers and tech billionaires to fund it, which is what, and more government control, more government. This is the game. This is the game. This is why I talk about this kingdom lens I like to look at the world through, and people might not know what I mean by that, but this has been going on since the days of Jesus.
Right.
You've got business and you got government. And in those days, it was mostly, the religious leaders. It was the Pharisees, Sadducees, and the Romans in cahoots working together to maintain their profit and their power and control. Here, the same thing. We've got business, multi-billionaires working with governments to do what the governments, the Newsoms, these people, what do they want? More power. They want illegal power to lord over us illegally, which I believe this is. And the corporations just want more profits. So they scratch each other's backs. And I think we, the public, always end up the losers.
Right. The bureaucrat and the billionaire coming together. That's right. Where more and more power and affluence are in the hands of fewer and fewer people. And then they wonder why, Robert Kennedy is such a phenomenon and joining up with Trump and all this kind of pushback against that. I'm just curious, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but as an entrepreneur, I mean, obviously you must have been afforded opportunities to get to get some very nice financial backing, but with these kind of strings attached that we're seeing here in this case. How do you avoid situations like that in your own sphere?
Well, I mean, like a lot of what I'm doing today, so I've got a couple of different businesses. One is one is a financial services company where we help people plan for retirement, save for retirement. We help them make wise investment decisions with their finances. Then I have another education company where I do teach a lot on the topic of kingdom entrepreneurship, which is how do you launch, grow, and scale businesses following a biblical blueprint and biblical values. And so even that, for example, a lot of what I do there, Steve, I could have done under a nonprofit banner. I could be raising donations. I could be taking support. But like I chose purposely to launch it as a for-profit structure, so that like I'm in the market, I'm making offers to people. I didn't want to be beholden to donors and things like that. So I think, and then even with people that come along, like like we do stuff together because I know you, I believe in you, I believe in your character. Like I just choose, not all money is good money, not, and so I'm just very selective that I only
Yeah.
work with people that I actually know their character. Um, and again, I don't, as a kingdom entrepreneur, where this is different than classic capitalism, right? Profit is not my number one motive. Like
Right.
I'm not. I'm in business to do well, but we don't. We put people over profits, and that's not just a
Right.
cute saying. Like that's what we do. So I've just found that, and I found that to be like the best thing for my business. Every time I just
Right.
continually choose to put people over profits, do what's right for the people. Customer comes first. Solomon said, put a knife to your own throat. Put a knife to your throat so you don't covet things, like keep your appetites at bay. Right? I've always done that with everything I do, and it's been a huge part of why we just succeed and have grown. And so that's kind of just personal philosophies, and then we teach these to people that are aspiring entrepreneurs, even existing entrepreneurs. But it's going to happen. Like there's in the world of business, there's such a temptation to cut corners, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and again, the
I
kingdom is righteousness. It's going to be, is this righteous in the sight of God? Like we work unto the Lord. It's God's business, and
yeah. I
so that's it.
I got to tell you, Pedro. I mean, I get so inspired with guys like you, and I'll even throw you in with President Trump there. I mean, they've been looking to try to nail him on some business venture for
Mm,
decades, and they can't find anything on the guy. So, I mean, he obviously kept a very ethical ship in building his entrepreneurial empire, and it what you guys do in terms of
mm,
building literally world building. You're building a world and you're making the world better for everyone by getting you and Elon and all these guys getting your ideas out there and making them, literally speaking it into existence, making it tangible and material what you're imagining there with all the ingenuity, all the problem solving, all the relationships you have to build. It's neat stuff. You're building ventures that inspire others,
mm.
brings glory to God in the process. What's your most encouraging piece of advice that you can give for courageous conservatives out there who want to go the next step? They want to take the leap of faith and do their part in advancing God's kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think so. I think first of all, I think it's to recognize that you have a part to play. Uh,
Mhm.
one of the biggest, one of the things that saddens me the most about consumerism Christianity, right, is we have turned the sons and daughters of God into spectators. We have
Wow.
said, just sit here, applaud for, like, there's the man of God, the woman of God. There's like we idolize these pastors and worship leaders and evangelists, and I'm not taking away, like, there's some, I have heroes in the faith as well, but most people will sit, attend a church service, clap for someone else, and say, wow, look how God's using them, isn't that incredible? And while it's right to honor other people for how God's using them, it is wrong to dishonor yourself and what's
Mhm.
possible for you. But we have turned believers into spectators because that just makes it easier to fill the buckets up. And we have told people to support the vision of the house, that this is the
Wow.
vision, so you're part of our vision. Well, I don't, well, that's fine, but what about your vision?
Right.
So we're
Right.
supposed to be, I believe, as the role of the fivefold ministry of apostles, prophets, teachers, and pastors, evangelists, is to equip people for the work, equip the saints for the working of the kingdom, not to have them sit and watch a few of us work. So
Right.
one is to know you have a place in, like, you are here. You were not an accident. You were born in this time, in this era, in the city you were born in, the way that you look, who your parents were, all that was on purpose for a reason. And there's a part that you have to play to actually bring the kingdom. It's not someone else's job. It's not Steve's. Don't worry about Steve. Steve's doing his part. Don't worry about me. I'm doing my part. What about you? And so I want to help people realize that they have a part to play. They're not just a spectator in someone else's story. And then two is to be like, okay, well then what's my part? What can I do? And I have chosen to focus primarily on equipping people that have to feel called to the marketplace, to feel called to do business. And there's many prophetic words about this next move of God coming to America. And Billy Graham, I think, has prophesied that the next real major move of God will come through entrepreneurship and business owners in the marketplace. I obviously I'm biased. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in the marketplace. Steve, I just don't see how it could happen any other way.
Right.
I think the stats are 3% of a city will walk into a church, but 100% of people in that city frequent businesses every day, all day.
Yep.
And so to me, it's obvious it's got to come to the marketplace.
Yep. Wow.
And but people have not been trained. They don't know how to connect how having a pizza shop, how can I expand the kingdom by having a pizza shop? Or how can I expand the kingdom by being a carpet cleaner? And the fact is, of course you can. Like, you can expand the kingdom doing anything. You can expand the kingdom.
It's almost how can you not expand the kingdom with those stats you just cited? That's brilliant. Yeah.
So again, we just teach people like how to connect what they do and show them how to bring a kingdom purpose to what they think might just be how I pay the bills and what I do.
Yeah.
And there's that. And then there's also a lot of people they really aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They got busy, got married, popped out some kids, just life passes you by. You wake up one day and you're like, what am I doing here? I hate this. I'm bored out of my freaking mind. Right. I'm miserable. And the fact is, Steve, like, we're all going to die. Like, I just lost a dear friend of mine, like a dear friend, and someone who we were building the kingdom together. He was not just a friend. He was a co-worker, co-laborer with me in the kingdom. He just passed away unexpectedly 6 weeks ago. To our knowledge, he was not sick, and he was my age. He was 50, and it's and then so like it's just a wake up. Sometimes we get these wake up calls when we lose a friend or something happens. I mean, my gosh, like we almost witnessed the assassination of a president, of a former president on television. So when these things happen, we kind of have that perspective, like, man, like life is fragile, and then we get these momentary flashes of perspective, but then they're fleeting. Then we go back to our normal lives and get busy. And so I just want to remind people, like, listen, we're all going to die. Life is fragile. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. You got one life to live it unto God. And I want to encourage people and give them tools to do it. And the problem is almost every other major system, the political system on some level, the educational system, the religious system, almost every other major system makes more money keeping them docile, leaving you as a sheep. There's way more money in keeping you as a sheep than helping you become a lion. And that's just the reality of it. But again, I just believe that there's people waking up to this reality that they're here to do more than just live, pay bills, and die. And we want to equip those people with not just encouragement, but practical tools, principles, and blueprints, maps, how to go do it. And I've had the privilege of being able to do that these last, I would say, probably 8 years now. And we're just getting started. We've done some pretty cool things in the Lord, and I think we're just getting started. And so anyhow, it's a joy to share.
I'm getting a sense that we're getting a little insight, a little treat of what the free training is going to be like on September 5th at 3 p.m. Can you give us a little quick overview of what listeners can expect? And all you have to do is just scan the QR code or click on the link below to register. September 5th, 3 p.m. Free, completely free training with Pedro. What do you got going on there?
Yeah. So I mean, so essentially, like, yes, I do a lot of entrepreneurship training and teaching, and Steve, we should do something for your audience, for people that really do feel called to launch, grow, or scale a kingdom enterprise. But this September 5th, what I feel like is very much more urgent is I want to take people through a understanding of what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the U.S. stock market.
Mhm.
The Fed just announced rate cuts are coming,
Mhm. Okay.
and I want to share people some very important data that historically, I'm going to share with people some historical data that has always been right at predicting stock market crashes. This is not Pedro's opinion. I don't have a special crystal ball. Anybody who says they do not trust them. They're a liar. But like, I just want to show economic data that has never been wrong in predicting a stock market crash of 30, 40, 50 plus percent. I think a lot of your audience is in retirement, drawing funds out of their IRA 401ks. A lot of your market is probably preparing for retirement, and suffering a 30, 40, 50% loss would be probably devastating this close to.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. And I'm also going to share people ways how they can actually make money even in a downward stock market, because we have no idea how long. Once we kind of went, we've had a historic run, Steve. I think it's pretty obvious. The
Mhm.
S&P, what it's done since 2009, like we're talking about like 15 years, like insane trajectory. This is the longest bull market by far. It's super fake, fraudulent, hyped up with
Mhm.
insane money printing. So we all know those stories, but the question is like, well, when does it end? Well, there's some real, very obvious signs that it's coming to an end. I want to show this to your listeners and show them what they can do about it, because you don't have to just suffer. You don't have to just ride the roller coaster. And traditional investment firms, that's their best advice. Oh, just stay in, write it out. You don't want to try and time the market. They tell you that because they collect fees by keeping you fully invested.
Right.
So they have a financial interest in you never getting out. They don't ever want you to do anything to pull you out of the market. So we're going to I'm going to show data, compelling data, and that will allow your listeners to be in a place of choice about what they want to do, and think about their retirement, their investments at a very timely point, right before these rate cuts hit. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. And
Absolutely.
I think it's at
Tell me the
tellmethetruth.com/Turley,
truth.
I think is the link. And I'm
Excellent.
just going to tell you the truth about how Wall Street really works, how investment advisors really work, and why there are just some inherent massive conflicts of interest that the general public has no idea about.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think you should know. It's your life, it's your money, and I think you should know. And so that's what we're going to be doing.
Oh man, there it is, gang. I mean, what are you waiting for? I mean, Pedro he's the best. He's truly top tier when it comes to advancing God's kingdom as you build your own venture. There's really nothing to hold you back when your faith is in God. So don't waste another minute second guessing yourself. Scan the QR code, click on the link below, get one of the remaining spots at Pedro's free training. They're very popular, so you don't want to wait. Click on the link, scan the QR code, and we'll see you on September 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern online. Promises to change your life. Thanks so much, Pedro. Great to see you as always.
Same.